Hello everyone, I'm Silverraptor and welcome to another Wargame Red Dragon replay commentary video. It's been a little while since my last video and noticing that I decided to sit down and quickly drum up a game for you. And the reason why I chose this Wargame for you on Paddy Field is it's a 10v10, so there's a lot of action. And it's actually, the game's pretty close all the way through. Um, Even though we might have some kind of advantage in terms of like strategic location, the point difference, since this will be a points game, will be pretty close all the way through. So that's just a heads up for a nice close game. And also, we're not going to be paying attention to me. I'm going to keep it on neutral so that you have an idea about everything going on in the map. And part of the reason is because, well, lots of things happen. I want you to be able to see what the blue team is doing as well as the red team, which I'm playing with, is doing to try to win this game. But also, I don't really actually do that hot this game. And instead of watching me fail, I'm going to show you other players who are actually succeeding and doing much better at me than I am at game. I didn't have a great game, but I still had fun, and that's the important thing when it comes to any game, especially Wargame Red Dragon. So I hope you all do enjoy. I will start this now, and I realized we still need to wait for the deployment to come through, so I do apologize for that. We'll just speed up just a little bit. As you can tell, I have not been overly well in preparing. I'm kind of in the panic mode trying to get this video uploaded for you guys because it's been a while. So I'll just go start about talking about the different units that are being deployed right now. Gaddafi, a friend of mine, and Bubbles, is preparing. Looks like an airborne heli rush here. As people are already leaving the game. Fantastic. 10v10s, a lot of stuff can happen. I am basically about here. I've got some helicopters. If I'm just trying to recall exactly where I'm all, and I've just got a bunch of infantry. My initial goal, as you can see, was this smoke. I'm going to be trying to take care of this village. Gaddafi was going to go and take this forest. Thos, another friend of Bubbles, is going to be taking here on the left side to try to hold this area. And a bunch of other people are doing their own thing. So, game is underway. Right off the bat, we've got some PUs in case there's some aircraft flying over, so they're all carried ahead. And right off the start, we've got some cluster munition. I had spotted that well ahead, so I put a defense marker telling Sauce not to drive through it, but he decides to drive through it anyway. And stuff's not dying yet, which just takes one good rocket barrage to hit, and something died. And things are dying. Yep. Not a good start. Things are damaged and panicked and everything, so not the best. But over here we've got some Super Cobras going up against the Mi-24Vs, and the thing is, the Mi-24Vs are taking advantage because Super Cobras, while they have great anti-air missiles, they only have 2 of said missiles, so that's not going to work while these Mi-24Vs have 8 missiles each, and they even catch out the CV that they were trying to land there. So he completely kicked the door in through the middle. Now, I was originally going to start moving my stuff here on Echo, but seeing that he had secured this location a step further than what we originally planned, all of these units are going to now go full speed into this forest, and this is going to be our defense area here. The Mi-24D, they're trying to engage this PVAD. Now, normally, while they would have the numbers normally would, they took a short arrow to the face, and so now the helicopter numbers are no longer at an advantage, and the PVAD is going to just wipe out everything here as well. But we did secure pretty good in the center, in the middle. Over here on the right, we have definitely, our team has secured up Bravo quite well. They've got some Mochutsin in this forest, and they're starting to pressure India. India does have a lot of things, but of course our team can't see all this at the start, and so Johnson is going to have to be a little bit careful with his whatever character that is moving up to support him. So my troops finally approach up here in the center. I'm going to put all my infantry in the middle and just unload. Basically anti-tank guided missiles of regular infantry squad, and Su-25 comes and takes out some kind of vehicle there and does manage to escape. Well done. Even is and Soth after that initial rocky start with the cluster munition, the enemy didn't really capitalize on it or sent very many troops down this way. So they are going to be able to pressure this area, especially with these very cheap T-55L, just to use up all this expensive ammunition with the Milan 2s. When you've got a lot of cheap tanks, literally these missiles cost more that are firing than the tank itself that's being destroyed. So they're going, once that Milan 2 is out of ammo, the T-55s will be able to help, but the enemy did think ahead, and they've got a Humvee with some TOW-2 missiles and some M1A1 Abrams, and they're going to be able to take out these tanks no problem. But the left side is doing a massive push over here. In the middle, I'm just kind of trying to secure this area. I'm moving up a pram. I like these prams because they've got a nice long-range HE gun with 5 HE power, and as well they have a Conqueror's missile that basically has anti-tank capability, and they can use both simultaneously, I do believe. It escapes me if that is the actual case. I moved up my LSTR-40s into this tree ridgeline here, and the main purpose is here is just to keep helicopters like that Black Hawk down and away from my main force here in the center. My BMP-2s with their Conqueror's missiles are now beginning to open up against these Humvees. Maybe not the best use of the ammunition, but basically I have a lot of ATGMs guarding this area, and I'm just here to lock down the center until we completely secure Echo and Lima. Gaddafi's bringing up a UAZ to capture so we can get the points advantage. And the left side assault seems to be stalling, as well as the right side assault is revealing that there's not actually a whole lot that the enemy that our team is attacking with, and the enemy is quickly moving up reinforcements. So even though we did secure the more percentage of the map than the enemy, they're actually kind of winning with advantage of points, 2,275 to our 1820. So it's not the best situation for us at the moment. My LSTR-40s are opening up against these helicopters and missing, unfortunately. My Mach Schutzen are guarding this location as best they can. Over here on the left, the Raven comes flying over looking for some C, but gets shot down by the amount of AA we have in this area. GR7s are here, and do they get shot down? No, they actually get away after they're dropping their bomb load. So left side, even though they didn't put a whole lot of troops here to defend, these M1 IP Abrams are definitely holding the line for the moment against all these tank and anti-tank missiles, but they do have to retreat as they have been taking some hits. And the enemy's doing the good side, holding off on the left here, and on the right, this attack is now completely stalled and pushed back. So even though the enemy did lose territory, they are winning in terms of kills, and that can be how some total destruction matches or destruction matches are played, is just sitting back and let the enemy come to you and setting up kill zones in order to wipe out the opposing advancing forces and make sure they lose more than you. The problem with that is that since we have more of the map, as soon as we get a CV into Lima, given the fact that they don't have Mike, we would have a huge points advantage and we'd be able to reinforce our troops vastly amount of, or should I say a lot, before the time is up and able to do a nice push and able to try to wipe them out. And that's going to be kind of our goal, but if we do play it smarter, we could be able to bring this gap closer, because in a 10v10, a 500-point deficit is not all that much in the large scheme of things. If you would do a comparison, I would say each 100 points is actually the equivalent of basically a 10 points in like a 2v2 or 3v3 in those such games. So generally speaking, we're only about like a 400 point, a 30 or 40 point deficit in terms of the actual gameplay. But that's just me just making up kind of just estimate numbers in my head. Do not use that as like a quote or anything, but just if you're new to the game, use it as like an eyeball feature. And just know that it's not the end of the world if you're suddenly 300 points difference in a 10v10 game. So I'm making fun of the fact that they dropped rocket artillery here, trying to wipe out my Moschutzen, not realizing they killed their Moschutzen already, and they ended up landing on their own light riflemen. My Conquerors 2 are firing at Fuchs Milan, and both missiles actually miss, which is surprising and a little annoying. Over here on the left, the forces of Sauce and everyone else is continuing to push up along this forest line, but these green jackets, as Sauce correctly anticipates, are spotting these T-72 M1 Wilkes. And if you see that your troops are in a forest, they're not firing, but they are revealed, something is spotting them. And that happens to be these green jacket, which brings forward these M270 MLRS rocket cluster munitions on top of these tanks, which do reverse out quite well and are able to escape. Aardvark drops some bombs there, and Nighthawk drops its bombs and manages to fly out despite the fact it has no ECM, which is annoying. Cluster munition artillery is coming in. Well, this is actually good. It will be softening up any leftover vehicles, but the only one left is that Chieftain Marksman. But like I said, we don't actually see where everything is on this side of the map. Over here on the right, the enemy has been surging forward and reinforcing this forestry line. Right now, our allies here are now going to have to put a defense line in order to keep them from pushing us out of Bravo. Chaparral is going into the fight with some Mi-24Ps. One thing about Soviet helicopters, especially these Heinz in general, or the Mi-24, is that with the fact that they have 10 strengths, most infrared missiles take 2 missiles to try to take them out. And so therefore, you can kind of get away with assaulting a position, or at least have some extra space to get them out of a hot zone if one of the missiles miss, if you respond quickly enough. I did say most helicopters, but that one went down to 1 Chaparral shot, even though that Chaparral was killed by an anti-tank guided missile. Over in the middle, the enemy is pounding my location pretty well, and don't have a whole lot left. I just have a Strop 2, which I managed to reverse out of the way of some Milan 2 anti-tank missiles, and there is a Leopard 1A5 pestering this position here in the center. Fabeo manages to get an iHawk Pip and manages to scrape on out just fine. Another Nighthawk comes in. The enemy is using these to full effect. These are really good bombers. Basically just say goodbye to anything that lands into their bomb site. BMPTs are moving up and providing excellent fire support for the Commandozi here, going along this tree line. And if these Navy SEALs are taken out, these Commandozis would be able to go all the way across and get to the river and basically cut off this entire choke point of reinforcement. The problem is, these are Navy SEALs, and they've got grenade launcher, but they're not actually using the grenade launcher at the moment. But the Link AH-7s with the rocket pods are definitely going to clean that up. And now with them being close, these grenade launchers are just, with the help of the AH-7, is going to wipe out these Commandozis, and that prevented our plans of cutting off the reinforcements there on the left. In the center, I did bring up some Kolos to try to repair my vehicles, but the thing is, they arrived at their vehicles all died, and so now we got to reinforce this area pronto in order to try to keep the enemy from pushing us out of Lima, which right now is their only advantage at the moment, other than the fact that we surged ahead again. We're now in the lead at 4,755 points. Now, this is a 10v10, so like I said, this could switch either way really quickly, and that's probably going to be the case because the enemy has been pushing a lot here on the right. They have been taking a number of losses to the left, but the enemy is still in this fight for sure at the moment. So we've got some grads opening up with some regular HE rockets just landing in this area. And HE rockets, even though they say they have huge high explosive numbers, how much do these have? Just checking. 7 HE power. So even though that's pretty decent HE power, they're mainly meant to soften up and basically panic the troops and making their accuracy basically ineffective in terms against calm troops. Now this is something interesting that I forgot about. So all this bombing run, how did those planes get behind all these AA and everything? Well, planes don't actually stay on the limit of the map. They flew all the way around the edge here, and then just flew over, did the big bombing run, and then flew off, avoiding the majority of the AA that the enemy had set up over here on the right. So that was a really well done tactic that that my allies have pulled off, and we are still surging ahead in terms of points at the moment. Now, cluster munition is coming to the center, but as you can see, there's only Utai troops. I actually haven't seen regular on the Utai. Usually it's Utai 90s, but infantry do not get injured by cluster munition. They do get a little bit panicked and everything. Attackums took out my Strop 2, so I am ticked off at the moment. And there is artillery coming down on top of this man caddy 6x6. If we can take it out. Come on, one good artillery shot. And it does not kill it. That's unfortunate. Another cluster munition strike is taking out my supply Kolos. And there was a Milan 2 squad that was too close to the supply truck as it blew up, and they died as well. So the enemy is definitely doing really well digging in and killing stuff, especially since they have so much artillery. MLRS, Attackums, cluster munitions, lots of bombers and Nighthawks, GR7s. It's just massive amounts of... it's basically trying to hit your head against a brick wall at this point is the analogy I'm going to use for this situation. Don't know why I almost blanked there. The Basilisks come in, and these are actually pretty good mortars in terms that they drop a whole lot of mortars at a time. What Basilisks are mainly really good for is smoking out an area, because they drop all of their... They launch all their shots at once. They basically just make a huge big smoke cloud right along here, and they can cover up, especially when you're trying to make an advance. Conquer Them took out one LAV-25, but they're now out of missiles, and now this LAV-25 gets to sit there and say, haha, I bruised this section of the forest, until the Basilisks open up with regular mortars right down on top of it and actually manage to blow it up. So well done there. Ivan is moving forward with more T-55Ls, but Special Boats Squad does manage to take that out. And the enemies, he has a surprising combination of troops. They're using heavy hogs, which is interesting because it does have some rocket pods and frag grenades on it as well. So they're a pretty cheap helicopter to just basically provide infantry fire support in a sense. So it's an interesting helicopter that's not normally used, mainly because it's really easily shot down. But it's still a pretty good helicopter. Planes managed to again go around the side, but a number of them get shot down. A B-5 managed to go down there, unfortunately, but I do hope he got his bombs off. And he at least pushed the enemy CV out of the Kilo position. I don't know if they actually killed any command vehicles, but they're definitely providing havoc here on the enemy's back line. And if you provide havoc on the enemy's back line, pulling their attention away from the front, that could be our distinct advantage in order to push forward. Gaddafi brought forward some Mistas, artillery pieces, pretty powerful, nice Soviet vehicle here. And where is he aiming for? He's just aiming in this general location. I don't know if he actually saw if these supply trucks actually exist, or is he just guessing where troops or CVs actually are. I think he's just guessing where the command vehicle actually is. But it's kind of hard in India because you have this entire forest as well as everything else. So, I mean, good try on guessing, but he had his work definitely cut out for him. And as you can see, we are looking quite thin in the middle. Fortunately, the enemy doesn't really have anything really built up to push across, but knowing that this is a potential weak spot, looks like Greece is bringing up some T-55AM Meridias, and these are actually a pretty good Polish tank, and the reason why is they've got 55% accuracy, gun for only 40 points, as well as 9 front armor. So these are definitely a very good Polish tank if you're looking to create a Polish deck. Try putting some of these in your deck. Help out. A Buratino strike here to napalm, and of course, the Special Boat Squad finds the oasis of fire and is sitting in between all this napalm, calm and happy as can be. So that Bertino strike didn't actually accomplish anything. Some grads are open up, and looks like they actually managed to get the command vehicle here. They've neutralized India, so if we can keep capping these sectors, then we can definitely surge ahead in terms of points, but the enemy is catching back up with us in terms of actual kills here. A Nighthawk is flying around just for the heck of it. An Su-25T tries to shoot it out, but with only 2 infrared missiles, it's not going to actually shoot down that Nighthawk, unfortunately. But even though it's an expensive plane, it does have 16 anti-tank guided missiles, so it can stay in the air for quite a while in order to shoot at any tanks and vehicles on the ground. But seeing that there's an anti-air plane coming in there, it wisely evacs out. So Arrows backs me up with some plain old T-62s, 25 points. They're just cheap tanks. They're just kind of filling the void. Just providing some extra guns in order to prevent anything from pushing forward in this area, as he micros this UAZ backwards and forwards, trying to confuse the enemy, which I'm pretty sure the enemy can see where the UAZ is going and able to guess where he might be. One thing he might want to do is just kind of go along this area, hide inside this forest region, and not really stop exactly. The enemy kind of looks like they're going to aggressively correct where the UAZ might stop. But if he can keep moving, and he does not keep moving. Oh no. So expect artillery on this location here. One thing that if you think the enemy is seeing your CV, one thing that expert players are able to do is they are able to time how fast your CV is going. And they are aware that strike going on some BMP3s. They are able to, based on how much time they last see your CV and how long it takes until you cap a sector, if it only takes a couple seconds, then they know that the CV is relatively close to where they last saw the position, and based on where it was moving, they'll be able to guess where it's going to be. Now, if you keep driving around for a little bit longer, like say if you did some laps around this forest a little bit, then, after all that time, they will not know where that CV could possibly be. So that's a little extra tidbit of facts, and if you want to try to keep your CVs hidden from pro players. Commandozis are again trying to push forward against Royal Marines. At this time, they're backed up from some Scott 2AMs fire support, so they might actually be able to break through, unless these Lingsha A7s help out with their rocket pods. So that is unfortunate. The enemy on the right here is definitely a big force to be reckoned with. Johnson is moving his forces back because a short arrow has it in its sight, though it's pretty panicked, so it's not going to be able to hit anything. Arrows is moving up some MTLBVs. For some reason, I think he's just kind of scouting out because these are 5-point trucks. He's just seeing what exactly is going to hit them. And if he's not careful, it's going to be some cluster munition. And it looks like they're going to be engaging some light riflemen before some rangers are going to open up with their anti-tank missile. And these Scott 2AMs and these Pekota Zmeks are successfully taken this town here and basically completely secured hotel for us in this region. Now the enemy cannot cross this bridge without these infantry opening up with their RPGs, and any infantry that come across is going to be cut to shreds. So this could be really difficult for the enemy to retake this town, especially since we've got some Commandozis and Royal Marines. They're just chillaxing. They're having a picnic, not really actually shooting each other. Until some Sopo accidentally kills both of them. But when this region is conquered here, we basically have this entire left side of the forest under our complete control. In the center, the UAZ is moving. He probably suspected that they did know it, I'm pretty sure. And he's, moving it out of position. So now it's a little more of a guesswork for the enemy to try to figure out where the CV is actually going to go. An Su-25 is under attack by a tornado, and he manages to escape with only 20 ECM from a Tornado F3. That is impressive. MiG-31M tried to intercept, but he was already out before he could do that. And the enemy's not doing too well geographic-wise in terms of sectors. India's decapped, Mike's decapped. They've been completely pushed out of trying to contest Hotel. But the enemy is still not that far below us, only a measly 400 points in a 10v10, which was my estimates. If we used my estimates earlier as fact, even though it's not, it would be about 40 points difference in an actual like 2v2, 3v3, maybe 4v4 if we stretch it that far a game. So another, they're dropping their own HE rocket artillery, stunning up our troops. And as you can see, there doesn't seem to be very much of me in the center here. In fact, I'm not even sure where I am at this point. I'm just going to do this really quick. Where am I? Oh, here I am. I'm bringing up some reinforcements to the right. But otherwise, other than the sniper squad, I have been completely wiped out. Yeah, so that's why we've been doing neutral all this time. I've been losing troops to this well-dug-in enemy like an idiot. But hey, I had fun. And like I said, that was the important part. There's an anti-tank guided missile. Oh, here's my troops, these Ondavas. I see this missile, and I tell them, move. They decide to do this entire U-turn to move out of the way, and it takes so long turning that the anti-tank guided missile takes one of them out. So I only have one Ondava left. But the enemy fires the second missile at the location, which is actually a waste. So for these attackums, little tip for new players is that you want to keep a good eye, and when they fire the first missile, instantly stop them firing the second one, because whatever is firing in that position is either already dead or has already moved out of the way. If it did happen to survive, that the second missile is not going to work out, and that second missile takes so long to reload, it's better to just fire it at a different location. And looks like our allies once again did a sneaky kind of missile drop on the back here, but these planes do get out of the way. And the B5, I was just about to say I didn't think he dropped his bombs, but he did. Lance almost killed an M1 Abrams. If I was that M1 Abrams, I would just stop off at that FOB and just quickly repair itself from a near-death experience. Over there on the left, another Nighthawk comes in, and these VDVs are going to be quickly wiped out by the Nana Young Shiki Gs with their fast fire rate. Mott Shootsins are by themselves up alone against all this number of forces and troops. They're trying to be saved by this known as smoke, but I don't think they'll actually be able to be saved, especially with Kiyomaru Shiki coming up to take them out. So we're definitely reinforcing and securing this area and getting ready for another forward push. The enemy is definitely grinding out this game, making it really hard for us to try to get a quick victory. It's nothing quick or easy about this. Nanyang Shikichi, they're trying to get out of the range of this Smersh cluster artillery, and they managed to escape with just a couple of hit points left there, but they're out of the action. They definitely need to heal. Kiyomaru Shiki has optics failure, which means he cannot seize these Conquers. He needs to get out, and he manages to reverse 2 more Conquer missiles. Can he get to that forest line? He gets 1 more hit in, but his front armor manages to save him from these Conquers, so he'll live to fight another day. But again, so even though we're not really killing all of their stuff is still out of action for the time being after being damaged and suffering some problems. The middle is doing pretty well. Conquer Thems is still killing any vehicles that come up. Most Rokinani's are moving forward, but seeing that there's enough anti-infantry stuff here, they're going to retreat back. BM-24Ms are napalm. They're going to be landing on this. And I'm not an overall fan of this truck artillery because with all 4 of them firing their missiles, they land in patches. So unless you fire all 4 of them like that, they don't really accomplish that much by themselves. But in the 10v10, when you get a lot of points, they're definitely worthwhile. And as you can see, we're just raining artillery death on them. It is just a beautiful sight to behold. Of course, if you're the enemy, the blue side, you're definitely hating that rocket artillery guts to death right now. But that's definitely a nice feeling to see all that rocket artillery land, even if it doesn't actually accomplish all that much in terms of kills. Nighthawk manages to score some nice hits there. Patriot shoots down another plane. Ooh, what plane is that? It looks like a B-5 that's landing. Is a B-5 that crashed? It's a B-5. So we are losing our wonderful B-5s. Another plane goes down. Fabeo's firing his radar missiles, but the Patriot turns off just in time. And then he turns back on. And our Fabeo goes down. So they've been doing really good at shooting down their planes. And if you look, they're now basically caught up, virtually caught up to us, except we just scored another 200-point kill within that fraction of a time. But they're definitely, game is definitely not over yet by any means. And it looks like they might be just ready to start pushing forward here on the right with these STRF 9040s, either infantry carriers with nice autocannon. FKPs are moving forward and are trying to be taking out this SK-70. And now the STRFs are now in full assault. Nighthawk is coming in with his bomb. Oh, he's going to land right on that Vok regiment, and it goes down. So all that's left to defend against these trucks, these how do I describe them? These tanks and autocannon trucks is basically this helicopter, this plane, and my Moderna, which is not actually going to that front line. I actually bringing the Moderna all the way into the middle and not paying attention to this right side at all. But the Su-25K is doing his best to try to hold him off. He's being taken some shots at. He needed to evac a lot sooner. And he does manage to get out of there, fortunately, as the Hyde is trying to hold them off. My Moderna is firing a few shots to try to help support the enemy as he's driving by, but he is not staying here. You are on your own. Now on the left, my allies are trying to push across the river. These T-55Ls, cheap tanks, are again pushing forward, wasting up all these expensive TOW-2 missiles against these pretty much very cheap disposable tanks. And I think that's kind of the goal here. He's trying to make them run out of supply, just firing up all the troops for when our real push comes forward, and just to see exactly what is going the enemy has in defense here. Problem is, they're not going to run out of supply because they've got 4 healthy supplied FOBs still ready to give out to all the troops that the enemy has there. And they've managed to take this forest, and there's virtually nothing to stop them from coming forward into Alpha. So not very much, but Style Blue does bring somewhere some Vok regiment to defend this area. So we are definitely going to be holding this off as best we can. The SPW is moving out of the way because he feared reprisals from the infantry. Artillery's landing, perfectly on top of these Mancaddies. Can they blow them up? Please blow them up. They're so beautiful when they blow up. Come on, Nonas. Reload and fire. Reload and fire. Oh, they're not targeting that location. Oh, you were so close too, but okay. But the SPWs are going to move forward. Over here on the right, massive fight is going on. T-55 Meridians are moving forward with the BMP-1Ds as reinforcements. So we're doing a massive push here in the middle, supported by a T-90S here on the left. And we're going to try to go and secure Mike and push our line from controlling the river from this location and push all the way up and just secure this entire river line here. This would essentially allow us to focus all of our efforts and stranglehold India and Bravo as the enemy is indeed trying to push forward and apply pressure here on the right. Our response to right side pressure is rest of the map pressure and try to hold it off there. I'm moving forward some cheap trucks. They're only 10 points and they only have the machine gun to shoot an infantry, but what they were doing is they were just providing another target for everything else to be able to shoot at and tell me what the enemy actually had out there in terms of an M1A1 Abrams and a Bradley to defend against everything that we are pushing against. Now this heavy hog is definitely providing pretty good fire support, just wiping out all infantry and doing pretty well against vehicles as well. Is now out of rocket launchers, now using his grenade launcher, but he's so low to the ground that all these mortars are doing quite a heck of a lot of damage. Well, not actually damage, but they do stun him up, as the shockwave does cause him to spin out a bit. So these Vassilics are definitely trying to provide fire support, but that Heavy Hog is going to be moving out of the way. A plain old M1 Abrams is left, as this M1A1 now has his weapons jammed, so nice critical hit by the Motostroke, even though those RPGs don't do a whole lot, but these Conqueror missiles do. And we are slowly but surely pushing forward and taking the fight out to the enemy. And my Modernas, which did a quick pit stop for fuel here at the Mi-6s, are now going to surge forward and be the reinforcements that my allies desperately need in the center, as all these Motostrokies are our only toehold right now on keeping this area secured. Some Strela 10Ms are moving up and trying to be able to get in range and take out this Cobra. The Forest is blocking the sight. Can they get in range? And Apache is moving forward. That is definitely dangerous. This is definitely a high tense situation. My Strop 2, which is faster than my tanks, have moved forward to just try to take out all these helicopters before they can try to take on the Motostroke. And now you got to be careful with when you're moving Strop 2s and tanks forward, because the Strop 2s will go faster than the Moderna tanks. So you do need to stop them every once in a while to make sure that they don't get too far ahead of the Modernas, which I correctly do here. On the right, the enemy put in some reinforcements and eventually managed to get some infantry right here on the right in order to try to secure this forest region. So our allies are definitely trying to scramble in order to keep the push from going on here onto our riverfront, as we try to keep the pressure up here and try to lose the advantage and prevent them from distracting us. My Strop 2 is trying to move over here to the left to get out of the line of sight from those forests and get a better line of sight, and manages to shoot down that Apache helicopter, thus freeing the way for my Modernas to just move forward and clean up whatever is left here. Some helicopters are landed right here on the bridge, saying, "Please shoot me," which my Modernas happily oblige. And that Aito was out of missiles, and we managed to secure all the way to Mike. So, we now have the left way secure and a good defensive marker that we can dig in. Now we need to focus here on this right. So the enemy has pushed up, and there's two ways we can handle it. One, we could try to cut our forces across to the right and try to cut off the enemy and then start pushing our way back and choking them off from supply and attack them from all angles. Or we could just try to kick in the front, which it seems that Style Blue is trying to do. And instead of going across the river, he's going to have his vehicles just take the nice river route and just kind of sit out there in the middle. I'm not quite sure what exactly he's doing. We did a bunch of napalm strikes from these BM-21 grads, or from these? No. From another kind of napalm rocket artillery, but they're basically really softening up these troops with all these rocket artillery, as these Pagotas are waiting for these buildings to finish burning to the ground before they're going to move in and secure this area. An Su-78 brings his bombing run, and brings another napalm round, as well as Scott 2s not doing a whole lot. So this area is definitely, but it looks like the enemy is basically being burned out, as we've got some Vok Regiment and Pagotas mechs waiting for this fire to die down before they're ready to engage these Kustin Jaegers and Volkswagen Jaeger 90s that are sitting here for the time being. And Arrows is moving forward across. I am not going to move up my Moderna just yet, because I do not see, even though you guys see and I see now that there's almost nothing here to threaten a Moderna, I did not know that, and I can sometimes be a little overly cautious when, especially with super heavy tanks, and the fact that the enemy is still really neck and neck in terms of points with us here. So we can't be so what's the word? Anxious, adventurous, and reckless. That's the word. And try to push forward. And I'm letting these Motostroke go forward a bit just to scout out a bit more. I wanted them to get all the way to this forest line and screen, because This building complex, a lot of infantry can hide in here, and nothing hurts a Moderna than infantry side-shotting them at point-blank range. And finally, with the pure amount of napalm and bombers, and a Nighthawk with a beautiful bomb strike on the bridge, but we managed to successfully clean up all the infantry that was pushing here and thus begin reclaiming Bravo and pushing back into India. So that push into the front did sort of work. I mean, there a lot of losses happened along the way, but we got the enemy killed, and they can now start beginning to push forward. And after his complete insistence, I believe it's time that my Majerna does move forward, as well as the 2 Strops, in case there's any kind of helicopters to come forward. Now, these Ontos have 6 recoilless rifles attached, and they fire really rapid fire. And this just shocked me with just 1 damage each. Took my Majerna with 21 front armor from full health to 2 HP in a matter of seconds, because they just kept hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting with those recoilless rifles. Now my Strop 2 is going to stun it up while Sauce takes him out with that Wilk. And U-Guard is bringing up some heavy tanks with Sauce, and they're going to take the place while I retreat my Majerna back and prepare to repair him up. Now I'm leaving my Majerna here on the right in case any enemy troops come across this bridge here. It looks like there is some Humvees. This Majerna would be able to quickly move forward, intercept, and take them out, as well as Arrows BMP-3s to make sure that these light rifleman 90s don't provide too much of an issue. Now over here on the middle, we're still trying to push forward. You know, this is a good assault position. This forest does screen this bridge and allows our tanks and infantry to get forward and able to start assaulting this building compound. Of course, the building compound is Defender's Dream. So we definitely need to be cautious. I moved my Strop 2 up in order to get some free helicopter kills, which are right there. But the Bradley and the Royal Marines do manage to take out my Strop 2. So a little over anxious there. Okay, where is this Attack'em squad going? Right here, but there's actually nothing. So it looks like the enemy is now beginning to blind fire in their panic. But revealing where the Attack'em squad is, there's already cluster munition coming right down on top of him. Are they going to be able to take out this Attack'em? It's been annoying all day. A lot of helicopters are dead there for some reason. And the Attack'em did go down. So the enemy had all these helicopters just sitting here with infantry, not doing anything. That's bizarre. So T-90S is up right front and center. Riflemen only have laws, so they are not going to threaten this T-90S unless they hit in the side, but even then they only do 3 damage. T-90S is providing some nice point-blank fire into these riflemen. Oh no, the rifleman is flanked by the Chieftain Mark 11 and these riflemen. He needs to back up. Yeah, those, like I said, those laws, those side damage, if they can take out if there's enough of them hits. And fortunately the laws are missing. And a lot of anti-air missiles come through. The bomber does get his bomb off, but at the cost of his life. And he is bringing cluster munition on top of that T-90S, and it does go down. So, that's an expensive tank right there, but we are starting to pull a little further in advantage. We're now in a 1,000-point difference, so it's now going to start becoming a little hard for the enemy to try to make up the difference here, especially with only 3 minutes left on the clock. They're still holding out in, making it quite hard for us to keep pushing forward. Some helicopters are trying to sneak off on the side, but this NUA manages to find them, and with 9 HE power, those helicopters are quickly going to go down into this water, and infantry cannot swim in this game. Cluster munition comes off on these HU-7s, and U-Guard correctly brings it back, and I did bring up some MI6 for resupply, so he can quickly repair there. My Majerna is repairing up and getting ready for a final charge forward, which is going to begin soon. Nenyon Shiki and some Fuchsmedans is engaging some plain old T-62. As it looks like Kreese is going to be pushing up on the right and flanking the enemy to the right here. Our allies did a really good job. I mean, really good job at resecuring Bravo and bringing in reinforcements. So they're definitely going to be able to push back into India. Right now, this is just the advantage of the points game, and basically it's all that's left is for some final engagements and some killing rights. So artillery is coming in from here. I don't know exactly where. Sauce is bringing up a tank CV here for some reason. Some artillery coming in. Oh, they see that Weasel Toe too. And it gets taken out. Not entirely sure by what. My Moderna 2 looks like he just got hit by a Nighthawk missile, but with that massive front harbor manages to successfully survive the ordeal. And is able to kill anything coming across here. No problem. So good job, Moderna. And now here comes the spam boat of the mobile guns. These old World War II mobile guns, ASUs, are coming across. And they're basically going to be providing, I'm guessing, the shielding fire for this Twardy. An Aardvark coming in, that's probably with cluster munition. The Aardvark does get shot down, but the cluster munition lands right on top of that Twardy beautifully, and he manages to escape with 1 health. Wow. So, these heavy tanks, they're definitely worth their merit. Another rocket artillery barrage coming here on the left. Looks like it's napalm. More bombs coming in. Here on the right is sort of the infantry there. As everyone's throwing all infantry and troops forward, and just to go and engage and try to kill as much as you can before the time runs out. With only a minute left. My Moderna is still repairing here. As you can see, I'm not really paying attention to the time at this point. Leopard 185 has his optics failed, so he's not going to be long for this world. And we are literally pushing on all fronts. And this is where we actually start finally getting far enough into the points lead that it's no longer in danger of being a draw. But the enemy did definitely a good job of holding off and defending against our push. Pushes all game long. Apart from the fact that we got a good foothold into Lima, that definitely allowed us to secure the initiative for the remainder of this game by this extra points lead. Mi-24Ws are just flying over looking for CVs and anything for them to kill. And finding out there's not actually a whole lot of AA here on this point. And Greece just tells all of his T-72s to fast move across the river, because now it is open season to go across. And time's up. Nice try. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that game. A lot happened. It's different than what I usually do. I've never done a neutral game before, but please let me know if you enjoyed it. And despite the fact that I basically lost everything halfway in the game and had to rebuild my troops, I did actually somehow got a positive lead. So, well done me, and well done everyone, both the enemy team and my team. So, that was definitely a fun game. So, thank you all for watching. Please do like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this Wargame Red Dragons video, and I will see you all in the next episode. Thank you, and goodbye.